A wife was in bed with another man when suddenly they heard the sound of her husband opening the front door. They both panicked. "Quick, grab your clothes," the wife said. The man hurried to the window, but when he looked outside, he saw that it was pouring rain. "I don't want to go out there. I'll be soaked," he protested. But as her husband got closer, the wife, in a panic, shoved him out the window. With no other choice, he started running down the street. After a few moments, he realized he had ended up in the middle of a marathon. He felt incredibly embarrassed about being completely naked, but tried to blend in with the other runners. The other runners were confused by the sight of a man running with no clothes on, but they were also impressed by his speed. One runner asked, "Excuse me, sir, do you always run naked like this?" The man replied, "Oh yeah, it keeps me cool." Another runner asked, "Then why are you carrying your clothes in your hands?" "Oh, so I can put them on later," he answered. A few seconds later, another runner asked, "Sorry, sir, but do you always wear a condom when you run?" The man paused, thought for a moment, then replied, "Oh no, only when it's raining." A man walked into a bar and said to the bartender, "4 drinks, please." The bartender asked, "Rough day?" The man sighed and said, "Yeah, I just found out my older brother is gay." The bartender replied, "Well, everyone has their own path." The next day, the man walked into the bar again and said, "4 drinks, please." The bartender asked, "Another rough day?" The man sighed again. "Yeah, I just found out my eldest son is gay." The bartender said, "Well, what can you do? That's his choice." On the 3rd day, the man came back and said, "4 drinks, please." The bartender, now curious, asked, "Oh, come on, another rough day?" The man sighed deeply. "Yeah, I just found out my youngest son is gay." The bartender said, "Well, it's his right to love whoever he wants." On the 4th day, the man returned once again and said, "4 drinks, please." This time, the bartender shook his head and asked, "Is there anyone in your family who actually likes women?" The man sighed and replied, "Yeah, my wife." One day, a woman was walking in the desert when she stumbled upon an old lamp. Curious, she picked it up and rubbed it. Suddenly, thick smoke poured out and a genie appeared. Shocked, the woman asked, "Can you grant me a wish?" The genie sighed and said, "Sorry, I can't. Due to rising costs and low wages, I can only grant you one wish. So, what do you want?" The woman thought for a moment. Without hesitation, she said, "I want peace in the Middle East. Look at this map. Please make these. Countries stop fighting each other." The genie looked at the map and said, "These countries have been at war for thousands of years. I'm powerful, but not that powerful. Make another wish." The woman paused for a moment, then said, "I've always struggled to find the right man. I want a man who is handsome, caring, can cook, helps clean the house, is amazing in bed, gets along with my family, doesn't watch sports all the time, and most importantly is loyal." The genie let out a long sigh and said, "Let me see that map again." A prisoner escaped from jail after 15 years behind bars. He broke into a random house looking for money and weapons. Inside, he found a young married couple sleeping. He immediately ordered the husband to get out of bed and tied him to a chair. Then, he tied the wife to the bed, kissed her neck, stood up, and went to the bathroom. While the prisoner was in the bathroom, the husband whispered to his wife, "Listen, this guy is an escaped convict. Look at his clothes. He's probably been in prison for years and hasn't seen a woman in a long time. I saw the way he kissed your neck. If he wants something from you, don't resist. Don't fight him. Just do whatever he says. Just satisfy him. This guy could be really dangerous. If he gets angry, he might hurt us or even kill us. Stay strong, honey." "I love you." His wife replied, "He didn't kiss my neck," he whispered in my ear. "He told me that he likes men. He said you're cute and asked if we have Vaseline. I told him it's in the bathroom. Stay strong, honey. I love you too." A member of Congress visited an elementary school to speak with the children in a classroom. He asked the students if anyone could give him an example of a tragedy. Robert was the first to raise his hand and said, "If my best friend was playing in the street, a car came by, hit him, and he died, that would be a tragedy." "No," said the congressman. "That would just be an accident." Then Andrew raised his hand and said, "If a school bus carrying 50 kids fell off a cliff and killed everyone inside, that would be a tragedy." "I don't think so," the congressman explained. "That would more accurately be called a great loss." The class went silent. No other kids dared to answer. "Come on," the congressman said. Isn't there anyone who can give me an example of a tragedy? Finally, Little John raised his hand and said, if a plane carrying a member of Congress was blown up by a bomb, that would be a tragedy. The congressman smiled and said, can you explain why that would be called a tragedy? John replied, because it wouldn't be an accident and it definitely wouldn't be a great loss. There were 3 high school girls who, during the last class of the day, would always go to the same bathroom. Every time they were there, they gossiped, vented, and did their makeup. And before leaving, they would always write messages and draw pictures on the mirror using their lipstick. Sometimes they even drew hands flipping the middle finger. Every day, the poor janitor had to come to the bathroom and clean the mirror. After a few days, the principal called the 3 girls to the office after a student reported them. The principal then took them to the bathroom along with the janitor. On the mirror, there were messages and drawings made with lipstick. The 3 girls looked at them and laughed. The principal said, you need to apologize to the janitor because you make his job harder every day. But the 3 girls just rolled their eyes. The principal then said, now, watch what you make this janitor go through every day. The janitor took his sponge, dipped it in the toilet, went back to the mirror, and started wiping off the lipstick. One day in class, a teacher wanted to teach her students about good manners. She asked the first student, Frank, if you were on a dinner date with a nice young lady, how would you politely tell her that you need to use the restroom? Frank confidently replied, hold on, I need to go to the bathroom to pee. The teacher shook her head. No, that's not very polite, Frank. She then turned to another student. Michael, if you were on a date, how would you politely say that you need to use the restroom? Michael answered, excuse me, I really need to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. The teacher nodded slightly. That's better. But it's still not appropriate to mention the restroom while at the dinner table. Finally, she turned to Little John. How about you, John? What's the polite way to say it? With a calm and confident smile, John replied, darling, may I excuse myself for a moment? I need to shake hands with a very dear friend of mine, whom I'd love to introduce you to after dinner.